Hi, everybody. It's Dave Consiglio with Powerless Yet Unstoppable podcast. Just wanted to take a quick minute here and kind of give you a little bit of my testimony here. A little background information on me before we get things going here. I'll get into a faith podcast here shortly. For me, I've always had a faith. I think when I was younger, 5 years old, heard a song in the car. It just brought me to tears about Jesus dying on the cross. And that was the moment I knew, I knew he had chosen me, and I knew that he was going to make my life complete. So I gave my life back to the Lord. But, obviously I think in life we go through ups and downs, struggles, battles, and we kind of get closer. We drift away, and, all through college and, high school and then into college, kind of drifting back and forth, in and out. It really hit me when I was at Western Kentucky. So fast forward after I was done playing football and started working on my career, had GAs, Grambling State, UAB, and made my way to Western Kentucky. And if I rewind to UAB, I'll be honest, when I was there, in 2 years we won 5 games. Not a very pleasant time for me and my wife, just my wife and I at the time. I brought a lot of work problems home, and I was just kind of crabby, irritable. Honestly, I was not a very fun person to be around. And I remember making the move to Western Kentucky. And, that first year, I just told myself, and I just prayed, I said, God, I want to win ball games and go to bowl games, and I'll be happy. And I'm a good person, I don't think that's too much to ask for. So that was kind of my number one goal and what was on my heart, getting to Western Kentucky. So that first year there, long story short, we ended up making a bowl game down in the Bahamas, ended up winning that game, made our way back to Bowling Green, Kentucky. And the minute we landed on the plane, depression hit me like a ton of bricks. And I've never had that feeling before, that heavy. I've had moments when I was younger, when my parents were divorced and having to visit mom and then dad and back and forth. Had moments, where you feel kind of down in the dumps, but I think everybody does. But this depression was different. Like it was a dark cloud that just settled over my head and it wouldn't go anywhere. And I remember vividly one night in the closet, my wife made this chicken buffalo pasta dish, and I love both of them. I love it all. And I just broke down in tears, and I told her, I said, you cannot make this dish ever again. And it was in that moment where I heard God just tell me vividly, he said, I gave you everything you ever asked for, everything you wanted, but you're missing me. And, as a product, I did the counseling route. Talked to professionals about it, sat down, talked through it, but it was more than that. And I knew in that moment that God was calling me for something better. Again, he had given me everything I wished for, everything I asked for, the bowl game, the wins, the fun, all that came with it, but there was something else missing. And, again, like I said, it was just that vivid encounter in the closet. And I'll never forget, he said, I gave you everything you wanted, but you're missing one thing, and that's me. A strong relationship with him. So it was about that time where I really got back into, going to church on a regular basis and reading devotions. And, if anybody knows me, I can overanalyze. I overanalyze a lot of things to the point where you start to question what's real and what's not. But at the end of the day, it was a vivid reminder and just a smack in the face in the best way to remind me that, true happiness doesn't come from what you have or even don't have. It's who you have. And that's a faith, it's strength, it's confidence, it's courage, it's knowledge and knowing that, this world's going to bring us some trials and tribulations. But at the end of the day, when you give it back to God and you let him take control of it and give your life to him, that's all that matters. And, recently I was at church and we watched a sermon. It talked about, I believe it's Matthew 11:28-30, about how God says, take upon my yoke. It's light, it's easy. Those who are burdened, and I'll give you rest. And that just really resonated with me. And the pastor put a picture up on the screen of a yoke, and I never seen it, but it clicked. And, the wooden yoke is a harness that goes around, let's say 2 cattle's head or neck, and then they pull the plow together. So I wrote it up on my board in the office, and I'm just sitting there, and it kind of hit me. A light bulb went off. It said, okay, if your head's on one side, what do you want on the other side? You want cars, clothes, family, fortune, fame, notoriety, wins, championships, or God, Jesus? And then it became completely clear to me, when you try to do it on your own, there's way too much weight in the world weighing on your head, and it's impossible to do. But when things get heavy, and even when things are easy, if you put Jesus, put God, put your faith on the other side, you literally don't have to do anything except close your eyes and have faith. Faith that God's going to help pull you through. He's going to teach you in the moments. Not saying everything's going to be easy by any stretch. It's not. But again, when you learn to give it back to God, it lightens the load a lot easier. And I think with that said, when things get tough and get hard, it's an ultimate test of faith. You're going to try to pull yourself out, or are you going to rely on what the world is telling you and what you're bombarded with? Or are you just going to sit back and just say, you know what, God, I'm going to trust you with this. I might not see it today, but I do believe in your plan. I do believe that you have better things in store for me, and you're going to see me through. So, to kind of go back on the Western Kentucky story, it was crazy cool. Like I said, I don't wish that depression upon anybody, but I do know that was a vivid wake-up call from God, and he spoke directly to me in my heart. Again, that I was searching for happiness in all the wrong places. And, so that's a little bit about me and my testimony. And, like I said, there's a lot more in there, a lot more other stories that I look forward to sharing with you in the near future. But yeah, we'll wrap it up with this one, and I'll come at you next. We'll talk a little bit about a faith and how we can develop a deep faith, a strong faith, and an unshakable faith. So thank you, and we'll speak to you shortly.